in here. What's up? We ain't gotta make it awkward. It's just you and me right now. It doesn't have to be awkward though. I'm up. I'm just coming from the gym. I posted a little earlier today on Twitter about somebody had said something about I forget what started the actual tweets themselves. For those of you all that's coming in, appreciate you for tuning in. Ask some questions if you have right now. Again, all of the super chats that you want to ask something more specific, promote a business, me to highlight it, do the super chat thing. All of the donations from the super chat go towards the GoFundMe work. All right. YouTube.com/Maj Toure is the other page that I will be discussing more of these political things on. Make sure you subscribe to that. We'll be putting out a whole lot of content on there as well before we get into it. So, critical race theory. This conversation started today on my Twitter. If you don't follow me on Twitter, go follow and retweet this or whatever. Somebody made a statement along the lines of, and I'm going to paraphrase. They were saying, no, America's not racist. No, the founders weren't racist. Basically going down a line of things that I get what they were trying to say, because the end statement was, it's time for us to reject all of the left's talking points about critical race theory. And I did an Instagram live on this a few weeks back on critical race theory. And a lot of you guys on the right, our brothers and sisters on the right, are just repeating a talking point that you heard, and you've done absolutely no looking into what critical race theory is and how it's being presented to attack the minds of our youth. Now, let me be very clear. What's being presented under this labeling of critical race theory is not what the original point of it was, nor is it what's being presented, nor is it fucking good for us. It's not good for the Republic. It's very revisionist. It's very extreme. It's Kermit, thank you. It's very extreme. And there's absolutely an agenda. So I want to get that out of the way first, because somehow people on both quote unquote sides are retarded and act like they don't understand what nuance is. Okay? And when I'm saying that, because let me make sure, I hope y'all can hear me. Everybody can hear me correctly. If you're just coming in, hit the thumbs up button, comment something, let me know you can hear me, because I'm plugged up to the phone and I don't know what the hearing, plugged up to the car, okay? So, and make sure you please, if you're just coming in, smash the thumbs up. This live is going to be about how to, peace, Malik, what up? This live is going to be about how we can use critical race theory against the left, okay? But we have to go into some of the basic concepts of what critical race theory is and what it is not, okay? Now, again, I have to say this again, because everybody on both sides just gets retarded and acts like they don't understand nuance and context and layers and critical thinking, okay? Again, if you're just coming in, we're trying to get to maybe a few $100 in donations for this particular live. All of that work goes towards the GoFundMe.com/Black Guns Matter work. Okay, if you got a question or you want to promote a business, you want me to highlight it, please do a super chat. Let's get to like maybe $200 on this one. Okay, now, critical race theory has its roots in the Frankfurt School. Okay, and if you don't know what the Frankfurt School is, I'm not going into the Frankfurt School, FANKFURT school. Okay, there are origins in there. And when this theory, you know what I'm saying? Thank you, Rod Wilson. When this theory came about, it was initially created, we're talking about in the 60s. We're not talking about in the Frankfurt School. We're saying it has a basis in Marxist Frankfurt School ideology for this reason. It came about in the 60s by guys that were trying to create a system that could explain how America has legally created systems that were racist or race-based to stop African Americans, so-called African Americans, from advancing. Anyone that disagrees with that very basic statement is not being honest. America, through the state, at certain points in our history, especially if you're talking about guys, coming up with this breakdown in the 60s, In the 60s, when fucking the civil rights era, when this type of shit was popping, anyone that says that that's not true is a liar or is just retarded or just doesn't know. Okay? Again, Jim Crow, segregation, slavery. These were legitimized by the state, by the federal and state and local governments, specifically targeted at black people. That happened. That happened. Now, and risk of not sounding balanced, I'm going to give a point for what happened and a point, express a point for why we don't stay there. Because I think what's happening is people are doing, both sides are doing this thing where the left is acting like all of America all the time, including now, is completely racist. And they're utilizing this overarching theme where they're mixing this other course of what's called white fragility, which is a separate fucking course. They're mixing that all in this critical race theory thing. So I got to be clear, and I'm going to give 1 point for what happened, and the left will try to extremely utilize that to make it as if there has been no progress. And that's wrong. So you can't say that America does not have systemic racist policies that were targeted towards black America. To say that is bullshit. To say that's not racist, and to say that it wasn't interwoven in the founding of our nation, not maybe necessarily the documents, because the Constitution, Frederick Douglass addressed this a while back. The Constitution didn't specifically write in slavery. They did not. The 3/5, the 3/5 clause was not in the, that's not what that was about. But there were state sanctions. The founding fathers owned black Americans. That fucking happened. Not all of them, too. So to say it wasn't tied in with the founding of America is clearly bullshit. It's clearly bullshit. To say that we have not progressed at all from that is also clearly bullshit. It's also clearly bullshit. Stop. So I'm going to give that point of what, the roots of CRT, some of those people in the 60s having an ideological, I want to say, romanticization with Marxism or socialism, because I believe that some of those guys, this is the belief, were experimenting with socialism because they were being presented very negative portions of capitalism, slavery, cronyism, right? Which are portions of capitalism. You can have cronyism in capitalism, but it's not necessarily the same thing. Cronyism is not free market capitalism. But coming about in the 60s, during that time, when all we see in the form of capitalism is exploitation to the black community, all of this other stuff, I believe that those men were looking for something different. I do not think that they understood what liberty and free market capitalism was, because of the fact that they were also presented, you've been a slave the whole time, your history starts in slavery. Okay? So I think they matriculated towards socialism, and unfortunately, a lot of them were fucking murdered by the state, i.e. Fred Hampton, who was promoting more of a socialist thing, and socialist meaning the people work together for the good of the people. Now, the WIC, Women, Infant, and Children, started because of the Black Panther Feed the Community program. People voluntarily put resources together to create a before Feed the People and after school program. That is a form of social charity. The best type of fucking economies are mixed economies. Mixed economies mean when all you people are talking about socialism is bad, then why do you support taxing for police and firemen? They take that out of your check. They didn't ask you. That's a form of socialism, right? The people that donated to Black Guns Matter are practicing a form of socialism under a voluntary format. Okay? Not mandated by the state. It's voluntarism. People coming, every form of cooperative economics is a slight form of socialism. And I'm not saying that in the sense of like the dominant theme, the only thing that should be socialism. No, that's not what I'm saying. So go back a bit. These men that were presented bullshit in the name of capitalism were looking for something else. So they had ideologies tapped into Marxism and all of these different things because they were catching hell during that time. So that's my belief of it. Okay? Now, That part is my belief. I believe that if they weren't fucking murdered by the state, they would have grown into libertarians or understanding what real freedom and liberty and free market capitalism is. I think that the school system did a horrible job of translating that. Okay? Now, so they tap in. Those founders of critical race theory had some roots in Marxism. Yes, because I gotta say it, because just like the left will take one thing that I say and spin it out of proportion, the right will do the same thing as soon as you say a word that they disagree with and act like nuance ain't a thing now. Okay? They'll act like nuance ain't a thing now. Marxism, socialism, and communism as the dominant themes, as the primary or mandated themes in world history to a economic or political system have been massive fucking failures. They don't work. I have to say that. But there is a form of all of that in how you run your house. I'm giving that example of how a mixed economy is better. Your little one may need to have a different stool because she's little. She can't see the mirror to brush her teeth. You put a fucking stool there. You don't just lean on, well, you got to figure it out on your own. You help that person. Boom. Right? That's not socialism, all evils of socialism. She has to build a fucking ladder herself and the free market will provide. Come on, bro. You know what I'm saying? So, now that we've clarified that, the dominant theme of these themes are horrible. Communism, socialism, and Marxism do not fucking work. The people that were looking for those ideologies to offset the bullshit they were getting in the 60s, the people that created this theory of showing how black people have been targeted through legislation in America, they were breaking down the theory that this ties in. The word is theory at the end of it. And they made valid points. Redlining is one of them. Like anybody that says fucking redlining isn't a thing, hey, you fucking blacks can't live here. That is a theory of critically assessing legislation designed to stop black people from advancing in certain neighborhoods. That's what happened. That's what critical race theory was. Now, that I've got all of my leftist talking points, it looks like I'm supporting the lefties, right? When I'm just being balanced. That was a theory designed to explain the bullshit. What the left has done, because us on the right, and I say we, because I'm an American, I'm a melanated being, I'm a balanced libertarian, I'm a human, which is identified with more as right of center. Somebody just did a $5 super chat. Jeremy Strickland, talk that talk, mods. This is college seminar level, really based learning. To another point that I'm going to bring up, and why I don't think critical race theory should be taught in schools. But going to the point of everybody, new people coming in, smash that thumbs up button. Smash that thumbs up button, please. Hit the likes. We need them algorithms. I'm gonna keep giving more content on this page. All right. So, because we on the right that more identify as right of center, right? Whether if you're a centrist or not, even center looks extreme to an extreme leftist. Okay. Where we failed is, as this talking point of critical race theory has been coming up, and they do the same thing. We do the same thing with socialism. We say socialism is bad without understanding the merits. There are good and bad in everything. There's a way to say socialism as a dominant theme, as the mandated theme of a nation, has never been fucking impactful. And then explain where, hey, I see what you're trying to say, but and then explaining that the reason why socialism won't work is because you have to have somebody producing things. And someone producing things, if you make that control over to the state, it's a wealth transfer. So you're taking from the people that create things and giving it to people that don't. We can articulate that point very, very well. Jeff Caravella with the $5 super chat. We can articulate that point very, very well. But when it comes to critical race theory, because of us on the right don't want to acknowledge our nation. Our nation. Somebody with a $25 super chat. Profit Life says, shouts to all work done. Solutionary Summit in Miami gonna be lit. Art for sale. What's up, Prophet? Yo, Prophet hooked up and gave me some amazing art. So y'all make sure y'all give him some love. Appreciate that, brother. We on the right pretending as if that these things didn't happen to try to justify America, our nation, where I live, that we all love. Pretending like we've been all good. We are leaving that door open because then we don't look at what breaking down what the merits and detriments of these policies or theories or practices are. We then leave it available for the left to come co-opt it. For example, the term liberal is co-opted. Classic liberals was about freedom and extreme limited government. But we let that slide. Now we got extreme lefties and extreme motherfuckers calling themselves liberals. That's not what the fucking word actually means. They are masters at fucking co-opting words. Masters at it. And we, because usually people that are freedom-based, we let people do their thing. We leave people alone. The problem is that only works when the people that you're leaving alone aren't taking your stuff, like your words and your definitions, and repurposing them for their benefit to your detriment. So we don't acknowledge these things as freedom people because we generally leave people alone. We let them take the word liberal. Classic liberals was about that freedom. Then we don't acknowledge where we as a nation fucked up. We have so much amazing reverence for these individuals as men. So we say these cliche statements like, the founding fathers were imperfect men. The founding fathers were imperfect men. But then in turn, don't want to acknowledge the horrible ills for whatever their reason was in a compromise or whatever. We don't want to acknowledge, yeah, but these men did a horrible deed. One of the most heinous crimes against humanity known in world history was the transatlantic slave trade and subsequent slavery in America on these lands that they participated in it. We have to say it. We have to acknowledge it. We can't keep deifying a person and then act like they didn't do that during a time when some founding fathers didn't do that. Thomas Paine, who was influential on all of their thought, said, no, I'm not going to own humans. Some of those men did. To call it up the middle. And every time we don't, the left repurposes it. And because we don't acknowledge it or pay attention to it or learn it, it's much easier for the left to repurpose it. And then you're only on the right triggered by the word because you know how the left generally moves. But when you fast forward to critical race theory, because it's the same play, now you haven't done any information on it. You have no knowledge of it. Somebody just did a $5 super chat. Who was that? King Pat 38. Appreciate that. Hey, y'all, we at $45. Let's try $200 if we can. If we can. Again, all of your work today, all of your donations and your super chats, all go to the GoFundMe work. I want to be clear on that. Kermit Love Bacon said, so-called liberals in 2020. Hold on, let me read that again. So-called liberals in 2020 are authoritarians, not liberals of old. Correct. But we've allowed them to repurpose that freedom. Everything it can be used as a tool of liberation can also be used as a tool of enslavement. Our freedom to let people do whatever they want and not speaking up is exactly why the left has become and consistently been so emboldened. And the left, there's more of the left historically than there has been so-called on the right in America, right? Over time. Which lends an actual credence to the point of, well, America is fundamentally racist. If the Democrats are controlling shit, and if they're the party of, on one hand, we say they're the party of racism, they're the party of the Ku Klux Klan, which is factually accurate. That is true. If that is true, and if they're the dominating factor, and they were the people that even the founding fathers, before there were parties, some of these guys owned humans, and we so-called on the right are now identifying with those guys that own humans, and the people that are arguing against us don't even know that the founding fathers didn't have party systems like that during that time. They were arguing against it, but we aren't educating that. We're leaving ourselves open to the left to continue to use that same playbook, now on critical race theory. Then when they say America is fundamentally racist, and we don't snatch that from it, like none of y'all watched 8 Mile? None of y'all seen Eminem do this in the last rap battle? He used his own flaws against the opposition, so the opposition didn't have anything to fucking talk about. $5 with the super chat. Drea D, appreciate you. So instead of us highlighting where our nation was wrong while expressing love for our nation on the right or center or right of center, we act like these things didn't happen, or we say some cliche statement like as a fucking deflection. Chattel slavery did begin in America. Stop. Somebody just said that. The Mafa, chattel slavery, bro, like, Chattel slavery did. It was carried out, let me say it this way. It was carried out to that extent in America. The Arabs started the slave trade in Africa. Then the Europeans mastered it and like took it to other points. But either way, I digress. Regardless of where it started, because then the argument will be about that, right? Acknowledging that we participated in it and saying it was wrong and owning that and being objective. We say we don't want to deify the founding fathers. These were imperfect men. But then we go on to deify them and not say, yo, that part was wrong. Then we deify, then because we've deified these beings, even though saying we don't deify and coming up with some cliche statement, we make a statement that comes off defensive and in defense or triggering. And now it's an emotional response. It's the equivalent of people saying Black Lives Matter as a phrase. Well, all lives matter. It comes off defensive. And you make yourself look like what the extreme lefties are painting you as, even if you're not. You understand? So let's go back to this critical race theory. You guys on the right don't even know where that shit came from. You just know the talking points. Well, it's based in Marxism. It's not based in Marxism. It's not. It has the founders have roots in Marxism. Okay? It's not based. And even if it was based in Marxism, no, I'm not driving. If it wasn't Derek Bell, it's not based, even if it had bases in Marxism, that truth, you have to extract that truth. America, our nation that we all live in and love, did have roots in racism. And it also did have men and women striving, Americans of all creeds and ethnicities, striving to fight for actual liberation. Both of those things are true. Thank you, Call Bandy. $25 donation. Hey, what up, Ken? Way to be nuanced as usual and break down CRT. Appreciate y'all for the super chats. Both things can be true. Now, the title of this is How to Use Critical Race Theory Against Lefties. They are co-opting this. They are co-opting it and throwing a bunch of shit in there. They're doing what leftist politicians do. They'll call something the benefit of America package, and all of the pork in the fucking legislation will be the detriment of America package. They're doing the same thing. And knowing that extreme right folks or people right of center will respond without even fucking looking into the thing because we on this microwave subject matter. I'm just going to say, I'm going to hear a word, and especially if they on the left said it, I don't even need to look into it. That's the dumbest thing in the world. You cannot imagine thinking that ignorance is a sound strategy to defeat your enemy. I'm going to say that again. Imagine thinking that ignorance is a sound strategy on defeating your enemy, especially an enemy that is going to attempt to put this theory, or what they're calling critical race theory, on children from the kindergarten level up, which is what they do. Melinda Gordon with the $50 super chat. I appreciate that. Rat poison is 95% food. The last 5% is the poison. That's how you get the rat to eat it. Same with CRT. So if 95% of that is food, and we can on the right take it, again, Eminem, at the rap battle at the end of the movie in 8 Mile, he rapped about where he had shortcomings. He was strong enough within himself to acknowledge what's wrong and take that argument away, and he won the fucking battle. That's the way to understand what critical, and a lot of what's being presented as critical race theory is that white fragility course. Okay? I want to repeat that. A lot of what's being presented as critical race theory, and because us on the right, we don't read it because we heard it from a lefty. It's like motherfuckers that don't watch CNN. Why? That's what the lies are. Know what they lying about and when and exactly and how they fucking lied so you can fucking beat them. You lied on Thursday at 8 o'clock on CNN. Such and such said this. That's not what it is. Here's the actual data of what it actually is. What the fuck are we talking about? How are we on the right now not applying that same scientific process, right? I'll give you me, for example. I don't fuck with the COVID vaccine. I don't fuck, or the experimental cocktail. I don't generally fuck with masks, right? I need to understand it. When this thing first started, I was like, bullshit. But right after, I was like, oh shit, this is the end of the world. Both of those are extreme positions to take. I immediately started a fucking Instagram group with people that are actually working with The fucking COVID patients early on, it's been open for like a year. Because I have to understand it. In different parts of the country, you're seeing different impacts. Okay, New York's going to be impacted more. Motherfuckers is right next to a boat. Motherfuckers is packed on top of each other. But in certain areas of the country, it's not going to be impacted the same because their whole life is social distance. Anyone that pretends like separating away from a virus or legit virus doesn't work, that's not true. So there's nuance to everything. But in order to understand that, I had to ask people that didn't have a dog in the fight, that were actually working with COVID patients, COVID vaccine, COVID whatever, corona, whatever. I have to learn it and study it to understand it, to land on a place. What we're doing on the right, and the tool that we should be doing, I'll say it this way, because we got to start leaning into the solutions, right? Right? Thank you for that support from Canada. What we have to do is study CRT to break it down to see how they're lying about what it is. Listen to this, y'all. Somebody just gave a great breakdown. CRT is a philosophical approach to culture and especially to literature that seeks to confront the social, historical, and ideological forces and structure that produce and constrain it. Tied to race, a theory. Now, if there's some merit to it, take the argument and go, yes, our founding fathers to this great nation were practicing some things that were horrible. That's an easy fix. That's an easy fix. That easy fix then goes, and we should never repeat those ills. That's just a good PR. That's just a good PR move. I did it. I told y'all from the gate I used to rob people and sell shit that was unlawful. I told y'all that. So when somebody tried to dox me, I already told motherfuckers I had a false rape charge. And it was a statutory rape charge for a girl that I never slept with. I had already explained it. So when goofies, every 8 months or to a year or so, people try to I find new enemies and they try to use it. I've already addressed it. I've taken it. Then people in my comments are like, yeah, I heard about that 2 years ago. That's not true. Here's the paperwork. The paperwork said the judge threw that out. The girl didn't take a motherfucking rape kit. Maj's position was he never slept with her because I didn't. What the fuck? It's not hard, y'all. But because you won't acknowledge it and read it and study it, the left knows that. They'll mix all of this pork into legislation. Then, when you go, fuck that, as a whole, because there's kernels of truth in there, they can then package you as the racist or the Uncle Tom. Right? Or the Uncle Tom. Because you black and you happen to be like, nah, there's some merit to that. A great book that everybody should read to understand one fraction of why this has some merit. Not talking about what the lefties are doing or how they're packaging it. Talking about how the theory from the guys in the 60s that created this, what makes sense to it. What makes sense to it is, let's say if people were talking, everybody in America said, you know what, reparations are due for African-American descendants, right? How would you fucking find out what companies and legislation was targeted at black people? You would have to do a study on it. So they wouldn't be targeting every white fucking person in America that didn't have a fucking thing to do with goddamn slavery. So if you can't even evaluate that, and if the lefties are winning, which are pushing for more reparations conversations, you gonna get caught up in the bullshit because you can't articulate position thoroughly to understand a study of what banks that are currently existing and their profits benefited tremendously from, I don't know, the Dutch Indian Trading Company, Wells Fargo. What companies, not American citizens that happen to be white, that didn't have nothing to do with that. But if you do no study on it, you leave yourself open. The Color of Law is a great book that everybody should read. Now, let me go back to, because I know I sound extreme lefty to some people. Let me explain this again. What is being presented and grouped in under the concept of critical race theory is not what critical race theory was, is, and was created for. Okay? It's not. But if you can't discern the difference between the two, and if you're just saying talking points, it's all Marxists because they all hate America. Some of them do, absolutely. But you don't know your fucking enemy and their tactics. They will beat you. At the beginning of this live, I explained very thoroughly how what's being presented as critical race theory is being mixed in with white fragility, trying to also tell young black or melanated beings that psychologically that you guys can't advance because America's fundamentally racist. There's more nuance than that. You know what I'm saying? Derek Bell, listen to this. Derek Bell argued that the civil rights movement was ultimately co-opted by liberal, hold on, let me look that up again. By liberal elites. I can't help but wonder if that part of what he said was correct. It absolutely was fucking correct. And they're doing it right now, using kernels of truth, but you won't dig for the kernels of truth as the right to take that argument away from somebody. Let me tell y'all what I do with liberals. When they identify as a liberal, I say, you're not a liberal, and then give them the explanation of liberalism, what classic liberals were, and that word actually means. No different than when I say, when someone identifies as anti-gun, I go, you're not anti-gun, and they go, yes, I am. I said, okay, if you and your loved ones were there, right? And first I'll say, well, somebody said, who again? Derek Bell, one of the founders of critical race theory, okay? I say, well, you seem to be more objective than most of the anti-gun people that I recognize or talk with. You seem more smart and logical. You're having a conversation with me. And they go, well, I am objective. And I go, another reason why I don't think you anti-gun, I don't think if somebody tried to kill you and me right now and there magically was a gun around, or our loved ones, I think that you would pick up that gun to help protect my life, because I would do the same for you. And they usually say, yeah, I would, which means you're not anti-gun, because I know what that phrase actually means. The phrase means I don't fuck with guns at all. There's a movie with a dude that was anti-gun, and he got drafted into war. I think it was called Hacksaw Ridge, if I'm not mistaken. He went into war and didn't pick up a fucking gun the whole time. He's anti-gun, and I can respect it. Most people are not anti-gun. They just don't have an understanding of guns, and they trust the government. Because if they were anti-gun, they would be saying police shouldn't have guns either. But they're not saying that. So because I understand the actual phrase and what it means, not accepting their perceived definition, I'm better able to engage and nullify their arguments. We on the right must engage and understand what critical race theory is, what it's being presented as, which it's not, so we can dissect their arguments about white fragility. We can dissect their arguments about America all the way was fundamentally racist. Take their arguments away from them. But the first step to that, and using this thing that's being presented as critical race theory, is understanding it and using it. And then by explaining how conceptually how complex it is, you can also get them to stop trying to do it in K-12 grade level schools. Because that's where the indoctrination happens. By understanding it and explaining the layers of nuance and legal reasoning for why critical race theory was created by Bell and others. You can also then say, this is too complex, and it is. This is too complex for a kindergartner. And why are we asking our kindergarten teachers to teach who are already underpaid? Why are we asking them to teach something that is already too complex and they're already overworked? That is a college level discussion tied into the legal aspects of how the state targeted Black Americans. Kindergartners do not have the understanding at that point to really have that dialogue about it. That's how you win. You don't win by just going, yeah, these fucking people, commies that hate America. That's some cliche, surface, non-well thought out bullshit approach that the left is expressing you to do. Because I can beat that all day. Because I can just go, see, you don't want us to talk about race in America because you're racist. You understand? You beat critical race theory by knowing what it is, by what it is not, by showing how complex the origin of it was and how it's tied into legal issues and mandated by the state and an attack on melanated beings in this nation. And that by owning our nation's faults, by taking that argument away from them. You do not beat it by doing the same exact thing in regards to, I'm going to turn and bury my head in the sand. And then highlight and deify the flag, deify the nations. I can beat you all day with that. When you say George Washington was an amazing human, and you don't say he had great ideals, and I understand his want for freedom from the tyranny of the British, but on certain levels, he emulated some of that same tyranny by owning humans. When you don't say that, I can beat you because I can make you look like you're highlighting a person that owned slavery. Then when you just react defensively to that, I can go, see, you're defending a racist. That's their playbook. Do you want to win? Do you want to win? Like, I want to win. I'm not with like a fucking moral victory. I want absolute dominance and actually winning. I want to actually win. We win by telling the entire history. When we start teaching African American, American, Spanish American, Mexican American history, all under the banner of America, and say, hey, fucked up shit happened. And this is the fucked up shit where we got it wrong. Here's where we fixed it and tried to remedy that. The problem is because we haven't done it for so long, we keep doing the same shit. The problem is you get all the way into the 1960s and we still having a conversation about segregation. State-sponsored segregation, which was only 50, 60, damn near, maybe 70 years ago. We still having that conversation. Then we do these milquetoast bullshit things like, well, we elected our first black president. Shut the fuck up, man. That's not effective. That's not an effective tool against that. It's a cliche talking point. We have to win by being smarter. I'm going to end this link after this because I'm about to get out of here. My bad, y'all. Share this live, y'all. Share the perspective, as well as, please stop with them fucking deflective talking points. Stop. They don't really help. You look like the person at a breast cancer rally saying, well, all cancers matter. Well, what about lung cancer? I get it. And I get it. Stop saying them. The talking points don't work. The talking points just make you look further deflective. Saying goofy shit like, well, everybody had slaves. It looks like you're justifying. So if somebody else murdered somebody, it's cool that I could do it because other people murdered people. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, come on, y'all. On the right, have more evolved PR, strong PR positions, not just cliche run-to talking points. If you want to look up what critical race theory, type in Derek Bell, understand the persons that created it and why, and look into the white fragility course that's being merged into there and learn how to dissect those things and show how complex this conversation is. We have to think better. We have to have a better brain on this. Zane of Austin said, I never once defined critical race theory in this video. See, it's dumb motherfuckers like that that don't get it. I've repeated several times. I've repeated it several times. Somebody typed it and I repeated their definition in this live. And that's actually beautiful. That's actually beautiful. That's beautiful and expresses the point. And I think I'll end on that. This is the same type of lack of fucking understanding and lack of nuance. People just spewing a talking point that is in opposition to the actual fact. I explained it layered in the fucking thing a bunch of times. Matter of fact, listen. Boom. So right now I've explained it. I gave an explanation based on somebody else's explanation. Right? But then a goofy, and I get it, he's a troll. But then a goofy, but that's the point. That's the point. Thank you for that $5 XRA. Right? $5 super chat. But that's the point. This response, we got to make sure we're not looking like a troll. We got to make sure we're not looking deflective. We got to make sure we have all of the information. This person literally just said, oh, you didn't explain what critical race theory. I explained the origins of the thought process during a time when the people that created it. I expressed how it has some leanings in the Frankfurt School. I explained why Marxist. I explained and then gave a definition. I did all of that. We have to make sure that if we identify on the right, because I don't think most people are taking that position like that goofball did, but I think that we have to make sure as a teacher that we are doing things and explaining things from a place of understanding that we're not even allowed to be packaged to look like that. That's a key component, y'all. A key component. All right. So again, y'all, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to save this, share it. Yo, we trying to get, $5,000 a day. GoFundMe.com/Black Guns Matter. Support the work. I will see you down in Florida in a little bit. Solutionarylifestyle.org for tickets to the Solutionary Summit. I got Royce the 5'9" coming. I got Boyce Watkins coming. I got Professor Griff coming. I think I'm going to get Willie D from the Ghetto Boys to come. I might have Kodak Black come through. I might have Ray J come through. I got a bunch of, I got Jay Moore. I got a bunch of folks coming to this. Get your tickets for that. That's September the 3rd through the 5th. Share this all over the place. And let's, again, make sure that we're promoting this ideology of understanding to take away points from the extreme leftists, right? Extreme leftists that are utilizing theories and exploiting our ignorance on the right or our inability to articulate the points thoroughly. Let's make sure that we're using our understanding to fight this agenda as opposed to the dumb shit. All right? Thanks again, y'all. Y'all be safe. Be solutionary.